Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
So let me tell you, girl, I knew I was gonna be emotional once I finally got to see you.
Oh, why? Oh my
I'm
God.
so geeky right now. So, all right. I'm already recording. I'm Takara Lastacia with
Okay.
the magazine, and I am so honored to sit down with you. So let me just tell you, first of all, you're the reason that my magazine came to fruition. I have been saying for years, a number of years, that I wanted to have my own magazine, but it wasn't until the night you won Top Chef that, and when I tell you, I was in my living room, like crying, like bawling, snotting. I was so happy for you. But I said, oh my God, now is the time. I have to create my magazine because I have to interview her. So this is major for me. You are the reason that I'm even here right now doing this.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for sitting down with me. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for winning the title for us
Yeah.
as women. I'm super excited.
Oh, good. Thank you. Now you got me all verklempt.
This is major for me. Tell
Yeah.
me what it was like for you. I told you about my moment and how emotional I was, but what was it like for you in that moment when they announced that you were the winner of Top Chef season 10?
Right. So, um, being on the moment they announced, you're standing there on the stage looking at Gordon Ramsay, and you don't know, you have no idea of what's going to happen. In your heart, you want it so bad, but, I guess, to be honest, if I was going to be totally, completely honest,
Please.
after they told me I won that Viking kitchen, I was good.
Wow.
I was honestly okay because it was more than what I had ever expected going on the show. And I didn't expect to get as far as I did.
Wow.
So every obstacle that I was able to jump over was like just an added gift. And to be in a finale in itself, I felt vindicated for all the hard work that I had put in. You know what I'm saying? So if you can make it, you know, 20, 30,000 people and you can get down to the last three, that's nothing to be ashamed of if
Right.
you don't come out on top. But when he said my name, all I could think of was, "Are you serious right now?" Like, and I don't know if they have a clip of it, but I kept telling my brother, who's a pastor now, and my husband, like, God is faithful.
Yes, he is.
Like, He is
Yeah.
so faithful. Like you can't even believe that in that moment God is actually using, because you feel it. Like, wow, you really gonna use me like this? Like, you really are going to, like, you see enough in me for you to use me. Like, I don't even see it right now, even in the midst of the wind. Like, I just kept
Oh,
saying, God is so faithful. Like, I know the people on the mic was like, what is she talking about? Like, what is she, because I could not. And even now, with the season is still re-airing, and I'm watching it now with my husband sometimes. And I think, like, I still cannot believe it. And it's been almost, it'll be 2 years, and I
right.
cannot believe it. Me and my husband, even my son, I got a teenage son, he's 17. And he goes, Mom, when you go out, do you tell people who you are? Like, do you boast, and do you, like, I'm Dorian from, I said, no, I don't. I don't do that. And I don't do it because I don't, I guess, in a way, people always say, well, you should, use that card. God gave it to you, use that card. But my thing is your light is going to shine regardless.
That's right.
And you don't have to go around saying who you are. People will see you walking up and know exactly who you are. I can tell you that from the time I left to go on the show to the time to now, my posture is different. If that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not walking around subdued. We all have bad days, of course. And
Right.
even with this win, I've had some unusual um, situations that I've had to deal with. But I'm able to go back to where I was, like to even reflect on where I was and say, you know what, I'm not there. It may not be what I want it to be or what I thought that it would be, but I'm not where I was at all.
Right. Right.
So in that, I can say, Lord, I thank you for not putting me back in that place of, depression and despair.
Mm.
I got something out of all of it. If I don't get everything I want, you gave me something to hold on to. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that can't nobody take from you. No matter how many people don't like it, you can't take it. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
So we have to, and as women, sometimes we just need the littlest thing to hold on to. Like you said you have your magazine now, and even if things don't go the way that you want, you tried it, you have something to look back on and say, you know what, I did that. I interviewed that person, I interviewed this person, and it'll push you to the next level. This isn't your end. This is only your beginning. So you're being prepared for the next level. And it's not easy. I know, this is not something that's easy. So even for me, I'm writing this cookbook and it is hard. It's hard. It's hard, really hard. And I've had people say, oh, your idea is not going to work. I had somebody just tell me yesterday, it's not going to, the idea, no, that's not going to work. But I have to stay faithful to what God said. I will give you your heart's desires. And if my heart is desiring this cookbook to be this way and to be this type of book, I have to to take your criticism and I have to eat it like food.
Mm.
And I have to yes, it doesn't taste good to me right now. I don't like it. But I have to eat it and use it as strength to push me to that next level. So winning, it was crazy. It was the second time I'd ever seen my husband cry, and I'm looking over. I'm like, I didn't even know you had tear ducts. Like everybody was just so happy, and I was able to have my family and my family there with me. My siblings were there. My mom was definitely there in spirit, and it was unbelievable. Just it was unreal. Every time I think about it, I get like I hold back tears because it's still unbelievable to me to be a part of such a small group of people and to be justified after 45 years of cooking. And I know some people say, well, it's only a show, it's only, that don't really mean. It does, it means a lot to me.
That when I say it was major, and I didn't even think of it in terms of just you won for the season, you made history. You're now a history maker. So
Yeah.
that is absolutely major. And that commands a different type of posture. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that you said that. Tell me a little bit about what the road looked like on the way to Top Chef. Who was Chef Dorian before Top Chef?
On going into Master Chef, um it was it was to become a chef was something that I had always wanted, but sometimes life gets in the way. I was a young mom. I was 18 when I had my first son, and um, I tell people now, you don't take your dreams off the list. You pre you you switch the levels that they are. Being a chef was always my number one, but when I had my son became number one, so we had to survive. Being a chef was now my number five. You know what I'm saying? Never taking it off my list. I just had to move it, and it had to wait for a while. But luckily, I had parents who loved me. They thought I was crazy for wanting to be a chef and wanting to be. I'm sure, even though when I look back on my parents and how the things that they did, like the little things that they bought me for Christmas or the little birthday gifts that they bought me, they would always buy me stuff like clay or paint or, you know, painting by numbers. It's 10 of us. I have 9 siblings.
Oh,
And
wow.
when you're growing up, you like, oh, you just bought me this because y'all can't afford nothing else. You know what I'm saying? Like this is all I get is some clay and some chalk and some paint. But when I look back on it, those small intricate things are, and those uses of colors and textures are the things that I'm using now. And when I plate and how I make food and you know, being able to see something before it's actually in front of me, you know, using my imagination and those types of things. So I say that they were grooming me before I knew they were grooming me
Right.
for, you know, the time that for this moment that I'm living in now, and for me to be able to reach my dream. I've been cooking for years, giving away food, just trying to get my name out there and trying to, you know, become more established in the industry. I've worked for some very good for some really nice chefs. Danielle Balou, I did an internship with him in New York City. And at the time, I never, you know, who knew? I mean, you think about it, and I'm like, who knew that I would be one day on TV and being able to really call myself a chef?
Right.
You know, really being able to hold that, it means a lot to me. My son said, Mom, you know, if you win, before I left, he said, if you win, my oldest son, he's 27. He said, if you win, your first name is going to change. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, you'll be now Chef Dorian Hunter. And I never thought about it like that. You know what I'm saying? And I said, you're right. He said, so when you go, you going for the name change. Like you ain't going just because it's the show. You go to get your name changed. And I, you know, and it's the truth. It's the truth, you know, and it's a hard road, and it's not any easier. It's a lot easier now because people know you. You know, they know your face, they know your likeness. But to say that I'm not proving myself anymore, I wouldn't be being honest. I still have to prove myself because some people think, oh, it's just a show, you know, and then even though you haven't tasted my food, the judge's influence is so strong to where you say, oh, well, you know, it's not really restaurant quality. You know what I'm saying? So we still have to, you know, fight those battles. But I will say that being on the show has elevated my cooking to a level that I never thought even I could do. Some days I surprise myself. Like, are you serious? Like, girl, you doing that? Like, girl, I don't know where that came from, but you did that. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're able to pat yourself on the back and you're able to say, you know, good job. You know, you really taking this thing and, you know, you really are, you know, you're running with it. And I'm just excited to see where God is going to take us with this, you know, because we have no idea. Like I had no clue of where never in a million years. I never thought that I would. I'm only 47. Oh, I'll be 47. 47, and I never thought that I would be in these years without my mom. You know, I never thought that. And it just shows you, you know, your plan for your life is not always God's plan. And had I not gone through like the depression of losing my mom, had I not first made the move to Georgia and from New York, going through the depressions of losing my mom and going through the struggles of buying a house, you know, sometimes when we in the midst of trials, we don't see the big picture. You got to go through something to get to the next level.
It's true.
Right? So by going through that, I was able to take that the pressures of life were nothing. And the pressures of the show was nothing compared to what I had already been through. So I was able to take that with stride. I knew what to do to separate myself from the craziness and separate myself from people who were toxic because I had already done it. I had already done it outside of the show. So when I got on the show, it was easy for me to, God secluded me. He allowed me to deal with that depression from losing my mom that grief, I hadn't dealt with it. He allowed me to do that in the time that I was away from family, and I didn't have to be wife, I didn't have to be mom. I was just able to concentrate on myself, and I was able to get all of that out the way. Because if you think about it, or when I think about it, if I hadn't gotten rid of all of that, I wouldn't have been able to deal with a win. I wouldn't have been able to do it. I would have been carrying too much. And the pressures of a win like this, and being the first Black African American female, and all the ugliness, even though it's a lot of beauty, let's
Right.
be honest, it's a lot of ugliness that go on with that too. I would be lashing out at everything. But now I'm able to keep my mouth closed and just let things be. People are going to say what they want to. People are going to lash out however they want to. And going up against two very young Caucasian people didn't help matters none for me. You know what I'm saying? Because people have their views of who should win. And this old Black lady gonna come in and win. You know what I'm saying? But like, we gonna be honest. We got to be honest. And I've had to deal with that. But I wouldn't have been able to deal with that had I not gotten rid of some baggage. Wouldn't have been able to do it. So I was dealing with a lot while on the show, but it's because that's where I needed to deal with that stuff. I needed to be away and take care of it. One time before I left, my husband said, "Dorian, you're different from when you first moved here." And I couldn't see it. I couldn't see how, as women, and especially as Black women, we carry a lot.
We do.
Like, we carry a lot of stuff that we probably don't even need to carry, but we just do, And I couldn't see the weight that I had carried for a very long time, but my husband saw it. But when I came back, he saw the difference. And that meant that the work had already started, and it had been done. God had done what he needed to do while I was gone. So, that's who I was before I left. I was broken. I was hurt. I was, just a mess on the inside. And, my husband, he said it, you need to go. It's not even a matter of if you want to go. You really need to go. You need this time to yourself. And he kept telling me, all you need to do, baby, is get an apron. Just get an apron. And then the longer I stayed, he said, okay, just make it to the top 20. And then I would make another call home. He said, okay, you still there. I ain't heard from you, and you ain't called me to come get you from the airport. So, just make it. If you ain't, I couldn't tell him which level I was at.
Oh.
So he said, if you near top 10, just make it to top 10. Then you can throw it and just come home. And, you think I want to go home. You get homesick. But then when you get on set, it's like, no, I can't do it. I'm too close. Like, you see the trophy sitting there, and you're like, oh, it's right there in front of me. I can't do it. And you just keep fighting for it. I've never fought for something so hard. No, just so hard in all my days. And it wasn't easy for me. It wasn't. I don't know how it was for anybody else, but for me, it wasn't easy. It was a lot of emotion in there, and it was just wanting something so bad. And you go back to your room and you just pray like, God, if I know your will gonna be done, right? But if this is for me, just let me get it. And when they say your name, you like, oh my God, he was really listening. like what? Yeah. So it was cool. The
whole time you were talking just now, I just kept hearing obedience is better than sacrifice.
Yeah.
At any time you could have said, I'm not ready for this. I'm not built for this. I have too much going on. But I'm so glad that you shared that to say, winning, it may look glorious, but there was a lot of stuff on the back end that you had to push through and fight through to even get to that moment.
Yeah.
Just to be able to say, God, you're faithful. Yeah. Just to be able to give him the glory. Even now, like that, I'm so glad that you said that, because that's definitely an inspiration to me. Yeah. Now, I know you mentioned the cookbook, and you said you're excited about what's to come, even though you don't know it. But if you did, if you could say, this is my desire for the next level, what would that be?
My desire would be, number one, to get that cookbook out. And even though I don't know what the look of a restaurant would be within this pandemic and how long this this craziness is going to last.
Mhm.
I would like to open up a nice, quaint, elevated soul food restaurant. I call it the picnic plate. I am not a fan of the picnic plate. Just piling on food. I think that culturally we have beautiful food. We have food that it's flavorful. You can tell who cooking what. You know what I'm saying? Like me and my husband talking about it. You go to church and people always say, "Well, who cooked this?"
Right.
Or "I know who cooked that." And I want to when I look culturally, I look at French food, I look at some Mexican restaurants, I look at some Italian restaurants. They all present their food very beautifully, and I think that we've done ours a disservice by
Mhm.
just piling it all up on the plate, giving this. I don't have a problem with my food touching. I just think that it can be beautiful, and I think that that's part of my brand is Southern beauty, elevated soul food.
I like it.
Something that when you sit down, you be like, what in the world? Okay. Like this, not only do I want to eat it, and when I do eat it, I taste grandma and I taste auntie, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful like we are. It's gorgeous. And that's what I want. That's what I would want for my restaurant. And if it's in the will of God, then I'm just praying that, it happens. I don't need another 46 years. I need it to happen soon, but I would definitely open up a small place, something nice and quaint, and something that we can be proud of, and say, everybody feel like they're a part of it. I want it to be, homey. I want it to be, when people come to my home, we do dinner parties all the time, and when they come to my house, they'll eat, and then they'll sit on the couch and then fall asleep, and then they'll wake up again, and then they'll go eat some more, and it's about being comfortable.
Right.
It's about having that homey feeling and feeling welcome, and that's what I want my restaurant to be. I want you to feel welcome. I want you to slip your shoes off under the table, and just be like, this is good. I don't want you to pick up the bone and eat, but I want you I want you to, feel at home, and be in a beautiful setting, and that's what I want. I want us to be, the other. There's nothing. We love a barbecue spot. Like my husband will. I love street food personally, and me and my husband will go to the craziest looking places and eat barbecue and sit down. Those places are terrific. That's what most people know. Most culturally, that's what we know. We know that guy on the corner who make the best barbecue in the world. Those are great, but I also think that we need something that represents us on the other side, where we can definitely compete with other restaurants and other cultures and show how our food can definitely be elevated to the next level, and to show the beauty of everything that we put in, to show the beauty of our soul. It's not just, we don't just call it soul food for nothing. That's
Right.
a deep spot. You know what I'm saying? Like if me and you sat down and ate, if you were at my mom's house, you got one time to be a guest. The second time you come, you family. Your first time, you better watch where she pull the plates out at, and everything else, because the second time you come over to her house, you're gonna be required to do that stuff yourself, and you're gonna stand in line at the stove and get all the food yourself. That is what I would like for this place in my mind to be like. The first time you come, you my guest. But the second time, I should know something about you that makes you stand out from everybody else.
Wow.
And I want you to be family. I want my waiters, and just to give you I want my waiters and waiters to say, "Hey, how you doing? I remember you from last time. Come on in and sit down. We want to," you know what I'm saying? I want that. So, it'll happen.
It will.
Happen.
It's in
And
the atmosphere.
me and my husband are trusting and believing that it's gonna happen. And we had to wait on this, and we gonna wait and see what God, what doors He opens, because it's all in His time. We've rushed things before, and we've learned our lesson. So yeah,
Absolutely.
a hot mess.
Awesome with that.
Right, right. So we know now to take our time, and that He has things in line for us, and we just keep telling God we've made our vision, gone to God and told him, you see it. And in your time, we ask that you pick things off of this vision board
Mm.
and you in your time, however you see. And he's doing it. Every time we see something come off our vision board, girl, I add something else. And I was just telling my husband about that, the other night. I was like, every time I see something happening, I put something else up there because that's faith.
That's
You
right.
know, that's being you walking on faith right there. I'm not. If somebody don't want their blessing, I'll take it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Absolutely will.
right, right. I'll take it in a heartbeat.
Okay. Well, let me say, I look forward to being a first time guest and then
Yes,
becoming family at this restaurant. Whenever God says so, know that Takara Lastacia will be there. I
yeah,
appreciate you taking your time to just sit down with me today. And I can't even tell you how this, like, I can't wait to even write about this interview. This has been
right.
everything I expected and then some. So
Oh,
I thank you. And I look forward to everything that God has in store for the newly named Chef Dorian.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And
You
you know what? We gonna ask that God bless your magazine,
thank you.
and that it is definitely an inspiration to everybody. We need more of us out
Thank
there telling our stories, and you just continue to walk in the path that God. Don't force nothing. Don't force it, and God is going to order your steps, but you have to keep your eyes and your ears open, and learn those whispers from God. Learn those, and I'm trusting and believing that God is going to bless your magazine, and good luck
you.
to you.
Thank you. Thank
Definitely.
you. I appreciate that. You
All
be
right.
well.